What's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to discuss WrestleMania 2 from, it was from three locations. They're from Los Angeles Sports Arena, the Chicago's Rosemount Horizon, and New York's Nassau Coliseum in Long Island. Basically, I'm going to go through the matches and give my opinion on some of them. The first match we had was Don Morocco versus Paul Orndorff. This was when Don Morocco had just come off his feud with Jimmy Snuka. So, Don Morocco was managed by Oliver Humperdinck, and Don Morocco was an amazing wrestler. Just to see these two feud, just amazing match. Then we had George the Animal Steele versus Randy Macho Man Savage for the Intercontinental title, and we had Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in George the Animal Steele's corner. Sorry, no, we didn't. That was WrestleMania 3. My bad. But George the Animal Steele basically had this match because George the Animal Steele hated how Macho Man was treating Elizabeth, and of course, Macho Man won because he kept the Intercontinental title until WrestleMania 3. But just to see the strength of George Animal Steele go against Macho Man, and Macho Man would always wrestle to perfection. And it's just a great match when you have a larger man versus someone that has the energy that the Macho Man had. Then we had Jake the Snake Roberts versus George Wallace, and Jake the Snake won. Jake the Snake Roberts was coming up in WWF. This was his first WWF WrestleMania, so of course he was famous from wrestling in the territories, but Jake the Snake Roberts definitely solidified his name in sports by this WrestleMania. Then we had, in a boxing match, Mr.T versus Rowdy Piper. This match was interesting because basically Rowdy Piper hated Mr.T from WrestleMania 1. He thought that he was just outshining the wrestlers by using his pop culture influence. And, Mr.T challenges Rowdy Piper to a match, saying that, you can't beat me in a boxing match because this was Mr.T's element, not Rowdy Piper's element. Even though Rowdy Piper was a Golden Globe, a Golden boxing champion, this match went several rounds, and eventually Piper would end up hitting Mr. T and doing some wrestling moves on him to get disqualified, and Mr. T would win. Then we had, for the women's title, we had Velvet McIntyre versus Faboulus Moolah. Basically, Moolah was still, she wasn't in her prime, but she was definitely someone that brought some kind of respectable view of the women's title, and it kind of went back and forth. It was basically a starting off of the Divas matches, but the thing with the women's title back then was it actually meant a lot more. The women actually went out and wrestled. It wasn't about sex appeal. Then we had a flag match. We had Nikolai Volkoff versus Corporal Kirschner, basically Russians versus Americans. You've seen this a million times in WWE. It was just basically you always had the Russian character versus the American character, and it was a flag match. So basically, you get to your flag, and the Americans won. Corporal Kirschner won this one. Then we had the 20-man battle royal, which was the NFL stars versus the WWF stars. And you had Andre the Giant win this one. And basically, the thing with this was to get the NFL stars in there to grasp the audience of the NFL to watch WrestleMania. And it was a smart move on Vince McMahon's part. Then we had, for the tag team titles, we had Greg the Hammer Valentine and Brutus the Barber Beefcake versus the British Bulldogs. Basically, these four people are Hall of Famers outside, or should be Hall of Famers just because of the way that they wrestle. And then we had Hercules Hernandez versus Ricky Dragon Steamboat. Another one of those matches where it was kind of like Ricky Dragon Steamboat was still reaching his prime in WWF. He was famous from wrestling in the territories, but it wasn't until WrestleMania 3, which I'll review in another video, where Ricky Dragon Steamboat pretty much solidified his name in WWF history. Then we had Adrian Adonis versus Uncle Elmer, kind of like a in-betweener match. If you don't know who Adrian Adonis is, he was sort of like the Goldust of the 1980s. He was managed by Jimmy Hart. Then we had Terry Funk and Hoss Funk versus Tito Santana and Joker Dog. Kind of a random match. Terry Funk was had held numerous NWA titles and stuff like that in the past, so it was interesting to see him wrestle in the 1980s for WWF at the time, and he was also managed by Jimmy Hart back then. Then we had the main event cage match for the WWF title. We had King Kong Bundy versus Hulk Hogan in a steel cage, and this match was kind of a weird match because, as much as the fans were behind Hulk Hogan, with King Kong Bundy having Bobby Heenan in his corner, you didn't know if King Kong Bundy was going to win. King Kong Bundy took a huge bump off the top rope. It's a famous picture if you ever see it, where King Kong Bundy is pretty much lying flat, and he took the hardest bump I've ever seen onto the ring mat. Hulk Hogan would of course win this because it was the peak of Hulkamania. So if you guys get a chance, check out WrestleMania 2. It's a great pay-per-view, a great event. Not necessarily the best WrestleMania, but it was still pretty good. So you guys let me know what you guys think about WrestleMania 2. Comment below. If you like this video, definitely give it a like. If you're not subbed, hit the sub button up there, and I will catch you guys later. I'm out.